When you look at Vera, she thinks with her fingertips. She thinks with her fingers. And it's not about looking at a book and then doing something. You learn from how you watch what she does, whether it's in silver, in doll making, in her painting. Every little dot means something with Vera. And I don't think other people have that opportunity. In fact, I know other people don't have that opportunity. And Vera brought that to the United States. Before Vera came, the only sand playing you did was on the beach and you were out surfing on it, and that was it. But what Vera did is completely beyond what our expectations are in the United States. So Vera didn't come from another country. I think Vera came from another planet.
After school, I would go to the recreation center. I felt as if I belonged, as if I were home. I learned embroidery, sewing, and leather crafting. Here I started taking art seriously. I was greatly influenced by Natalia, my teacher. She showed us how to paint and craft leather with jewelry. My teacher immigrated to Italy, and she approached me to teach the class. So I took over her class, and it became very popular in town. The class was so full that children had to bring chairs and desks from other classrooms just to have a place to sit. This is when I was 16, and I lived in Херсон.
У кого сомнений никаких не было абсолютно. Почему? Да потому что мы же ее вырастили, мы ее знали лучше, чем кто-либо другой. Она часть нашего коллектива была, и поэтому вопроса не было о том, справится она или не справится. Мы знали прекрасно, что она справится.
Later on in life, I decided to open fashion theater, where we made costumes decorated with leather, weave tapestry that we used for costumes. We participated in different fashion shows. Once, during one of the events, Mikhail Pavlovsky, the head of the National Art University, was in attendance and impressed by our collection. He approached and invited me to study at his school. I told him I had no money to attend because it was very expensive. And he offered me a scholarship. That was how I got into the field of fashion design. While I attended the university, I was taking care of my grandmother, who was bedridden with a missing leg. It was very difficult. I didn't have time to socialize with my friends and classmates. I always stayed at her side. During this time, I would sew, embroider, and paint. This is where I found my happiness in art, next to my grandmother. It was difficult to survive in Kiev on the income the government provided while I was in school. This is when I got involved in Bardi art to supplement my income. This turned into a career. There are a lot of Bardi art masters in Ukraine because of the high quality of art schools. Somehow, I got involved in Bardi art competition just for fun and something to do. The last thing I expected was to win. The prize was a generous amount of money for Ukraine at that time. I combined fashion, body art, into the theater of live statues. The idea of getting into live statue business came from my husband. He worked as a dancer in Korea. In some of the performances, he was a live statue in the park. When I saw the pictures of the costumes, I thought I could do better. I also saw a video where people were fascinated by the performances of these statues. I decided to make my first statue costume. It was of a clock man with all the gears and mechanics. This is how our business started. Our theater of live statues was the biggest in Europe. We had 40 performers, 15 lady tables. These performers are not similar to the street performers you see in most cities. In the beginning, it was hard to find clients. I really had to prove there was something special, and this performance would be welcomed at prestigious events like banquets and weddings and private parties. My costumes required very difficult technique, and I spent no less than 1 month on one costume. Our show was successful, and we started performing at West End places like Vladimir Putin's birthday party and Gazprom, which is a global energy company.